Just at the beginning of the COVID or pandemic, my family had an experience where we lost, it was possibly one of the first or one of the early batch of individuals that died unexpectedly because of the virus. He was 30 years old, was the best man in my wedding, and in 4 days he went down. 4 days. I told Brother Leon, says, Brother Leon, you are walking in a road that I did not walk on. I walked on one parallel. So I know what it is to lose a family member, but in his case it's a much closer to home as he lose a spouse. And I have only the words of Jesus that I can share with the family and with each and every one of you, because his word is life. John chapter 11 and verse 17, and I'm going to just take about 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so to just share with you. Share with you. Some of this may remain with you for many months in the future. Then when Jesus came, he found that they had laid in the grave 4 days already. Laid in the grave 4 days already. Now Bethany was near unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off. And many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary sat still in the house. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou had been here, my brother would not have died. Verse 22. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask God, God will give it thee. Jesus said unto her, thy brother shall rise again. Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Verse 25. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he or she were dead, yet shall she or he live. And I know it's a very familiar passage, but I want to repeat it again. He said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though she were dead, yet shall she live. And whosoever believeth, liveth and believeth in me, shall never die. Believest thou this? She said unto him, yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God. And that is a declaration that is used where someone makes Jesus Lord over their life. I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which shall come into the world. For a few minutes, I want to chat with you, have a conversation with you on what I refer to as a Lazarus Phenomenon. The Lazarus Phenomenon. What is life in this world that is stricken by the fallen nature of sin? The great enemy of mankind is death. And this spirit continues to wrestle our families, people, nation, and world with increased intensity over the last few years. Trinidad right now is the highest in the world per million in terms of deaths. Jesus encountered a close friend, and more so a family, that was a victim of this abnormal human experience. If I talk to the gentlemen that work at Guide Funeral Home, or any funeral home for that matter, and they may see services and have these types of experiences multiple times during the day, every day, it is still something you'll never get accustomed with, because death is an abnormal experience to the human life. Jesus, being God in the flesh, wept as he encountered the broken hearts of family members due to an untimely death of Lazarus. Take time to weep as a family. Take time to weep. I remember my own experience a few months ago. However, Jesus showed his credentials of who he is as the resurrection and the life, the one that can and will use even the lostness of death to bring victory to those that believe in him. We are not a people that do not have a hope, even in the raw face of death. The Lazarus Phenomenon brings to us hope in these times of great hopelessness. Even in the records of the rich man and Lazarus, we get a glimpse of a real world, real conversations, and even great concerns a dead person or a dead person had for family members who were still living on earth. I finished this message about 4:30 this morning. The graduation of Sister Latoya to the supernatural world of heaven is great sorrow to us, but great rejoicing for a woman that followed the living Lord during her journey here with us on earth. And I want to also say, it have a lot of family members there. The same way there is a gathering here, there is a gathering there. My family was a total of 8 siblings. 4 here, 4 over there. So when my brother died, we said maybe they balanced the scale. So while 4 of us hugged and cried down here, why took hope? 4 of them up there was hugging and rejoicing. We have a hope that is anchored in the life of Jesus when he himself took on the raging wave of death and overcome for all who will trust in him. One day, the Lazarus Phenomenon will also be for our dear friend and sister who God will bring with him as he promised that he will raise us up in the last day. And I have a feeling, Pastor Noel, that the population that he's going to bring with him from the world of the dead is greater than the population that is alive. Many of us, but for many of us, we are seeing, hearing, and experiencing the great raging of death in our nation and community. Where is your hope in the midst of these fearful and evil days? Who's next? This week, our country hit as high as 1,265 infections in a population of 1.4. And that's not checking where you have other means that people will die. The Lazarus Phenomenon brings to us the evidence of a world beyond death, the response of the living and those in the world of death, and more importantly, the hope and victory we have because we put our trust in the one who has and is the resurrection and the life. 2 things I want to highlight with you this morning in this service of goodbye. Number 1 is what I call the Lazarus Great Experience. The name Lazarus comes from the Greek, but it is connected to the Hebrew word Lazar, which means he, she, he who God helps. He who God helps. For the person that experienced this, God is helping. God is helping. Now in Luke chapter 16 from verse 22, I want to read it so that we can get a glimpse of another Lazarus. And it came to pass, there were 2 guys that was living in a city, a rich and a poor man named Lazarus, who was a beggar. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. Now I want us to see the big difference. Immediately we see that the person of faith is transported by angels. But the person that is not of faith, we hear nothing about angels transporting them. So when I hear this song that you're playing, I say, whoa, they got a peek of my message, because the angels got involved whenever there is a saint that passes. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, and being in torment, seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water, to cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. Two places, two final eternal state. I tell people plainly this way, and excuse me for the direct speech, but life on earth is very short. We don't have time to quarrel. These days, you could go, and there's a friend of mine, he picked up a guy on the road, because he know the guy in the community. He stopped and picked him up in his vehicle and got COVID, died. Life is short. So you spend eternity in two places, either smoking or non-smoking. We decide based on what we do. Now, we decide. He is comforted, and thou art tormented. Verse 26. And beside this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they which pass to us that would come from hence. In other words, there is this gulf, and you cannot cross over. The place of the comfort stays in the comfort, and the place of the torment remains in the torment. The smoking stays in the smoking zone, and the non-smoking stays in the non-smoking zone. Then he said, I pray thee therefore, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house. For I have 5 brethren, that I may testify unto them, lest they also should come into this place of torment. This Lazarus, who went to the place of the dead, was rewarded for his faith, but also saw and met a man who he encountered during his lifetime. And I want to say that the world beyond this natural world is even more alive than the one that we are in right now. Death is fully alive. In the great experience of the rich man and Lazarus, this person was no longer concerned about their achievement, was no longer concerned about their wealth, was no longer concerned about their reputation and their name and their possession on earth. In his conversation with Abraham, he had 2 requests. Imagine somebody dead making requests. 2 requests. Firstly, again, he was so self-centered. He remembered what he's going through. I am in flame, I'm in torment. I want 1 drop of water. Today we have access to water all over. 1 drop of water. And when he was denied, he expressed great concern for his family members who were still on earth. Even in the world of the dead, he knew, he was conscious, he was fully aware that he had other siblings that were living the lifestyle he used to live and was heading to the same place that he is presently located in, and he wanted to be able to reach them. You know what was Abraham's response? He said they have Pastor Noel to talk to them. They have Brother Leon to talk to them. He says somebody from the dead will rise and go and talk. He said, no. There are people that are there that could warn them, that could tell them as what's good. He says, send someone to tell his 5 brothers about the reality of the world of the dead. We may sorrow of the passing of our dear sister. But I tell you this truth, there will be much greater sorrow if you end up in the place of torment. Then you will see a whole different world of sorrow. And the second, Lazarus, which is the one I read, I want to talk about Lazarus' great return. Now the second Lazarus, which we find in John chapter 11, was a family man. Sister Latoya was a He had a friend, and that friend also loved him. And that friend was Jesus. Now, as a man in society and a man who have been many places, it is always good to know somebody in certain spheres of life. Whenever you are in some difficulty, it might be somebody you could call, somebody you could connect, somebody you remember. I remember this person working in this particular location, and I can call up. It is always good to at least have a good friend. But I want for you to see that this Lazarus, also apart from him being known and him being a pretty well-off family, he had a friend, and that friend was Jesus. And more importantly to us all, he had such a rapport that Jesus used to line by them. And the scripture says that Jesus loved him. That is very, very important. If you only know about the Lord is one thing, but there's a unique qualification that will make a difference in Lazarus' great return. I am in a position to say over the last year and a half, 2 years, looking at the life of Sister Latoya, she had such a friend. And more importantly, I can also say that Jesus loved her for the activity that I remember the first little project I gave her to do. It was 2020. Valentine was falling on a Sunday. And I asked the leadership, have you all ever done anything for Valentine? It says, no, we never did. So let's do something about love for family. Let's celebrate family. And I gave the project to Sister Latoya. Man, and that woman did a wonder in the church. A wonder in the program she put out. And so on like that. Of the people you know in life to help you, who can do you a favor, who can open an opportunity for you, make sure one such special friend is Jesus, the Son of the living God. In John 11:11, and you know, the number 11 in scripture is a number normally of disorder. These things said he, and after that he said unto them, our friend. Hear what Jesus says. Could God make that boast about you? Latoya was a friend of Jesus. I remember one Wednesday night I gave her to share. It didn't have much people that evening, maybe about 8. But she shared like if the whole church full. She built the sermon with notes and this, and if you see the structure, and as if the whole place will. Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may wake him out of sleep. Could Jesus make that remark about you? That you are a friend of Jesus. The broken hearts of friends and Lazarus' immediate family, as his sister poured their broken lives to Jesus due to being a victim of death, moved him to tears. Feel free to cry, to express yourself. Move heaven to tears. Move God to tears. they moved him to tears. In 11:33, when Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also which came with her, he groaned in himself and was troubled. That's verse 33. Verse 35 is where he wept. He saw, he was influenced by the broken hearts and those that were wrapped by the victim of death. While many friends, family members, and others are moved with compassion for us, so does the heart of God. Jesus can do much more. One Sunday I stopped by Brother Leon. It was last week. I said, Brother Leon, what else can I tell you? What else can I say? As a human to a human, we are so limited. Maybe if there's a machine that can examine his heart and give us a photograph on his screen, we might see how broken and shattered and ripped apart it is. But man could only see the outward appearance. But God sees the heart. In verse 36, then said the Jews, behold how he loved them. When they saw Jesus weeping. I see a lot of emotions. The woman was valuable to you all. Bible says in Psalms 115, precious in the eyes of the Lord is the death of his saints. That word precious means it's costly. It is valuable. It costs the kingdom something. It costs your family something. And some of them said, could not this man, which opened the eyes of the blind and caused that even this man should not have died? Jesus therefore again groaned in himself, coming to the grave. It was a cave, and the stone was laid on it. While all of us are here today, share in the hurt and loss. With Jesus, we have a great hope that he can do something. You know, Joseph told his brothers, he says, what was meant for evil, God turned it around for good. When life takes us to a road that is beyond us, beyond our reach, it is never beyond the reach of the living Christ, who can command even the great force of death to release. And I go back to verse 25. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. And then he closes it with 3 words. Believest, doubtest. Statements in 25 and 26 shows his credentials. But the last 3 words is, will you believe the credentials that he has? In verse 40, he adds even some more weight, and he said unto her, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, thou wouldest see the glory of God? So in 1991, I started to minister and preach in the village of Irene. When I look at the catastrophes that are wrapping our world today, some nations being hit with flood, earthquakes, volcanoes, fires, every day is 3-4 times on the news. We are getting closer to that day when the Lord is going to bring with him all that are in the grave. The great return of Lazarus is living proof that we will also have a great experience or the great return, even from the clutches of death. There will be a great return of Jesus himself, where all who are in the grave will hear the voice of the Son of God. So what can I give you this morning? The words of the one voice that can even rattle and empty the graves. I leave you this morning with the concept of the Lazarus Phenomenon. even in the raw face of death, we have a hope.